So today on the Inner Circle podcast, we are going to be talking to Darrell Wonge, and we're going to be going through his pivot from pro-baller to cinematographer. We're also going to dive into his relationship with his beautiful wife.
And we're also going to talk to Darrell about some unexpected twists and turns, the way that he deals with stress on set, how he leads his crew, and a lot more.
Oh, networking too. He's going to dive into his whole networking strategy, what he's all about, how he networks, his emails, all that great stuff. And I think it's going to be an incredible discussion, and we can't wait to get started. All right, let's dive in, Darrell.
Darrell, welcome. Shane and I are thrilled to get to know you better, to hear about your work and your life. And we're going to dive right in.
Yes, absolutely. How you doing, Darrell?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me today.
Excellent. Today's Inner Circle podcast is going to be called The Pivot. So, what does the pivot mean to you, Darrell?
Oh, man. The pivot is when you're going one direction, you think your life is going this way, and then something happens that changes you onto a whole nother route that you even know was there, and you lean into it, and you might find something that's magical and amazing that you never even knew about. All right, that's how I look at the pivot.
Yeah, absolutely. And your pivot was from a pro baller to a cinematographer. That is a very bizarre pivot, wouldn't you say?
Yes, it was very unexpected. Nobody saw this coming, but yeah, everybody that's along the ride with me is enjoying it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is so great. So from what I've learned about you, you had an injury and couldn't play basketball anymore.
No.
And I think that a lot of people would have been really, I don't know, mentally discouraged at that point. I mean, this was your career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take me through what that felt like.
Oh, man. So I was playing in the Middle East out in Saudi Arabia, and got undercut, going up for a dunk, landed on my knee, tore everything, ACL, MCL, PCL, all my cartilage blew out. It was pretty much over. So you try to make a comeback, right? You know, I was documenting the whole thing. Like my sister and my best friend, Corey, got me into document. So I started filming everything on my phone, and my leg was in the machine for 12 hours a day for about almost 8 months. Like slowly bends at 90 degrees, so it helped you get the fluid because my knee was about that big. But after that, I learned to edit, to put it together, because in my mind I was gonna have this big comeback story. And I tried to come back, I just wasn't the same player. I couldn't move the same no more, so I had to let it go. And then from there, how I got into it was my wife does social media on the side of her corporate job. She's like my own personal superhero. She wears like many capes. And she used to go out. We used to live in Calgary, Alberta at the time, and she used to go out for lunch with her friends and ask them to take pictures of her after, and she'll post it online. And I was home, just sitting down, watching Netflix, doing nothing, figuring out what's going to happen in life next. And I was like, I could take you a picture for you. I'm not doing nothing today. So I would love to say that when I picked the camera for the first time, I was just amazing at it. But I wasn't. And me and my wife are best friends. We're very, very honest with each other. And she was like, you suck at this. She was like, if you want to keep shooting, like, you're freakishly tall. You can't shoot me from your freakishly tall height. You make me look small. If you want to shoot me, you got to get better. So to never be embarrassed like that ever again. And to prove her wrong. But nah, she was supportive overall. And I just started looking on YouTube, looking at videos, studying. I will call local photographers in the area, ask them to take them out to lunch. I'll pick a picture off their website and ask them to break it down to me, how they did it. And then trial and error. So there's many hours my wife would like sit in a chair and we'll get like some lights off of like Amazon, and she'll let me light her and I'll see how it looks on her face. And from there, I just started, like, I used to be in the gym 3 to 4 times a day working out. And I just took the same stuff that, instead of working out, I would like watch tutorials in the morning. So I looked, in my mind, I was doing like 3 to 4 workouts, either watching tutorials, reading articles, watching a movie, then trying to Google and find behind the scenes of the movies of how they did it. And that was my way of working out. And from there, we moved to Toronto, and she got put in a L'Oreal commercial because I was shooting photography for her. So I got back a little bit. I got a little ahead of myself. I was shooting photography for her and I got good at it. And brands started asking her who's shooting your content. And she's like, well, my husband. So they started hiring me to shoot product photos for them. So I started shooting for Lincoln and L'Oreal and Pantene and Banana Republic and things of that sort. So we moved to Toronto and she's in the L'Oreal commercial and they asked me to shoot behind the scenes for it. So now I'm doing video. And, you know, I remember how to edit from when I was doing my own little video for my own little projects. And this was my first time being on a commercial set and watching them build everything up from nothing. Like on a white site, they built this beautiful closet set for the commercial, shot it, tore it down all in the same day. And I remember being on commercials when I played ball and you're there for like 3 hours. The bright lights shine on you. A person comes up to you and it's the director's the only thing you know. You say your lines, you dunk a couple of times, you're out the door. Right. So this is like, I got to see the whole experience and it reminded me of basketball. It was a big team atmosphere. And, you know, everybody being creative, everybody's pushing each other to like get the job done.
Making movies, making commercials, music videos, it is a team sport.
Exactly.
It is a team sport. Now, what I love about that is how you took the protocols and the kind of etiquette of how you drove yourself, as how you're practicing your workouts, all that stuff as a pro basketball player, and then completely spun that into now it's watching tutorials, it's practicing here. You're practicing the craft of photography and cinematography. And, you know, I was big into sports when I was a kid. You know, I played soccer, basketball, baseball, golf, tennis. I was very good at soccer, very good goalie, played semi-professional, you know, back in the 80s. But that ethic and those kind of the protocols and etiquette of just training and everything, that's kind of how I started to transition into, you know, I knew I wasn't going to make it as a pro athlete, but I used what I learned and how I practiced and how I trained and everything to kind of really push me up the ladder as well.
And it's a ritual, it's a mental game. So much of the film industry, because you need a confidence level and you need to push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Resilience.
And resilience, and to believe in yourself, even when nobody else does at certain times, right? And that's kind of what you built with your wife, which is so beautiful. And she was able to be honest with you, saying, hey, Darrell, you got to work on this a little bit, right? And I love that. And I love to watch how you two support one another, because I think that that's so beautiful, because before you had two very independent careers. And now you find yourselves, because of your pivot, working together. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I still shoot some of her social media projects. As I grew in my career, I got a lot more busy. And so I had to start teaching how to do things, stuff like that. I teach how to edit. You know what I mean? I made little color grade LUTs that you could put on top of the stuff. And then like big campaigns, we'll schedule out time to where I'm available, she's available, and I'll shoot all that stuff for her. Right. But like, yeah, she was amazingly supportive. She's like my best friend. And I tell everybody, like, especially I was never an artist until a few years ago. At least I didn't consider myself an artist until a few years ago. With basketball, numbers don't lie. So if I put up 40 and you say you suck, I can always point at the scoreboard and say, well, obviously you're wrong, because that says something totally different, where art's subjective. So we can all look at the same thing and feel totally different ways about it. So sometimes it's really easy to get down on yourself because people might not respond to your work the way you hoped for them to respond to. And she's one of my biggest supporters. I keep a very close circle of friends and family that are very supportive of me. Like, for example, my mother doesn't understand what I do. I explain to her, but she doesn't like understand what I do technically, but just like, you're amazing. You're going to be amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. You're great. And it's just a huge support. And she's always been like that. And my wife is the same. So even when she was telling me like, you got to get better, she would help me get better. And like I said, she'll sit there and let me light her. If I needed help with something, she'll make the time to help me with it. And, it's, you know, you need that support because like you said, it's easy to get down on yourself.
It really is. And I think it's so neat to see how you not only believed in your ability and not only pushed yourself to learn the craft, but to then push yourself even to a higher level to expand out. Now I know that you have a TV series coming out. Can you tell us a little more about that and kind of how, because we've seen your commercials and they're beautiful on your website.
Thank you.
And I'd love to talk about those too, but I think we'd love to hear about this show and kind of how it happened for you.
So I like to network. I'm a big believer in no matter what lane you're in, you have to network. So I'm constantly shooting out emails, and I'm a big believer of learning. So you got to take risks to learn sometimes, and it's okay to fail because you learn from that experience and grow. So for the past year, I've been trying to get TV shows, or I interviewed for TV shows, did lookbooks, stuff like that. Like I actually learned how to do a lookbook from DP Scott McCullen and from your tutorial. When you did the lookbook, I think it was on Holiday.
Right.
Something like that. And between both of y'all, I was able to put together lookbooks and figure that out. And I got interviewed for the show, and they gave me a chance. And it was a totally different experience from commercials. Commercials, you got to deal with agency and clients, and they make the final decisions. On TV, it's the director and the showrunners, and so it's all about the creative. Once the network gives you the money, they say it's due this date. You're not getting no more money. You have to deliver this. And after that, it's like everybody figuring out where the money goes best to make the best product, what department needs more, who needs more time, all conversations about what's going to make the best out of this. And then different from commercials just 1, 2, 3 days, and with a new crew the next time sometimes, where on TV you was there almost 2.5, 3 months together, and you get to learn and talk to people more often, and you become friends with them.
You become
right?
a family. That's what I mean, everyone's like, when I was a commercial cameraman, I had this kind of a pivot in my career. I was doing commercials, and I had a very established director, Bob Giraldi, at the time. He had a massive production company in Los Angeles and New York. And he goes, I want you to direct for my company. I really love your style. I really love what you bring as a cinematographer, because I was doing Michael Jordan ads with him and all this stuff. And we were on an amazing run. I mean, it was like 2 years of just awesomeness.
Nice.
And then I said, Bob, I have this really unique opportunity. Rob Cohen, this director, called me up, and he's offered me this film called The Rat Pack. And I really want to go make this movie. The script is incredible. And, when I come back, I'd really like to start and talk about this further. He goes, oh, no, that's not going to happen. He goes, you either want to be with me directing commercials, or you go do your narrative thing. And it was literally black and white. And I was like, whoa, okay. And I remember calling my agent at the time, Stacy Sheriff. And I go, Stacy, what do you think about it? I'm like at a crossroads here. And she goes, narrative gives you longevity. Commercials is flash and pan. And I was like, okay, I'm going for longevity. So I told Bob, thank you very much for the offer, but I'm not going to be able to take your, work with your production company and be on your roster. I'm going to follow my narrative. And I remember coming on the first day of set, it became this amazing family of all, because that was my first film. I called in every favor I could from all my commercial clients and everything, asking them to give me stuff for free. And because, this was my coming out party, right? So I was like, I gotta deliver the goods. I gotta bring the goods. So, that's family is what I really love about the narrative experience, because you really start to bond with everyone, and you start to understand each dynamic, and going out and hanging out on the weekends together, and just it's because it's difficult when you're obviously there I mean, if your wife is not able to be there, then weekends are pretty much, by yourself. And so it's like trying to keep the friends of, whether we're going out and playing a game of golf or going to see a movie or going out to dinner. It's like that connection of that small family is really, it's gotten me through a lot of tough times of being away from Lydia.
You hit the nail on it. It was a family atmosphere. Even when people bumped heads, it was never like mean. It was, everybody just trying to get the best out of the situation. And like when people bump heads, they apologize to each other at the end of the day. It was like a great experience. And I shot something that I typically wouldn't shoot. It was a sketch comedy show, but the way they pitched it to me was we're gonna let you shoot every genre. And we want it to be as cinematic as you want to make it. And it was 5 different directors I had to work with and try to get best, because it was like 50, 55 different sketches we had to do.
Wow.
And sometimes it's like 2 a day we're doing, and you work one director in the morning, another director at night. And it was just a great learning experience, and I was very exhausted. And but I came off it, and I remember I would sit down with my wife when we was done with it, and she was like, "So, you did your first narrative thing now. Which route do you want to go?" And I was like, "Oh, I want to do both, but like I really want to do narrative."
Yeah.
Like, you get to tell a story, and somebody could connect with that one day. And
it's like 15 to 30 seconds. I mean, we're all storytellers, whether it's commercial, music video, a documentary, whatever it is. But there's something special about being in that darkened theater or that darkened living room, and you're watching something. Like just last week, I sat down with my son, and I go, "Miles, we're going to watch Platoon."
Okay.
And he's like, "What's this?" And I go, "Dude, trust me, this is a movie that you're going to want to see." And at the end of it, he goes, "Dad, what a great movie." And I go, "Yeah." I said, this is how, these are the type of movies that move you, that really show the inner core of the two polar opposites of Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe, and how Willem Dafoe fought and how he built his team. And Berenger was all about driving people into the ground, and Willem Dafoe was about lifting them up and trying to relaxing them, because, there's just body bags every day going away. And it was like that whole uniqueness within that platoon was pretty incredible. And he really saw that. And he had mentioned to us, he's like, "If I get out of school, maybe I'm going to the military." So I'm like, what movie could I show him that is going to veer him off that goddamn path?
Oh, I want to circle back to something that you said, because I think it's so interesting, and I think you're being very humble. So you are in this situation on your show that you just did. What did you learn about yourself, or what surprised you about yourself?
So some good and some bad. Like we'll end with the good. So the bad was I'm a very laid back person on set. I don't really get riled up, because I believe like it's, it could be a stressful environment on set sometimes when you have to meet time frames and certain demands. But I always felt like the cinematographer is nervous and looks like unhinged, everybody else is going to become unhinged and it's going to go crazy. So I'm always calm. I always talk calm. I'm not a yeller anyways, but so I never yell, and people enjoy working with me because of that. And a lot of things don't get to me. I learned on the TV show though, I don't like people touching the camera without asking me. Like a director touching the camera or directing my crew after we had a conversation and I'm doing what you asked, and then you start telling my crew to do something else. But through conversation, because you're working with people for the first time and they're used to doing things their way and used to doing things your way. So through conversation, we came to understanding. But like, I honestly didn't know that would bother me until it happened. And I felt something inside of myself and was like, why do I feel like this? And I learned that day that little things like that irk me. But I'll say that's on the negative side. On the positive side of things, it was I got to light so many different genres. We had one director who was like David Fincher reincarnated. He wanted everything dark and push, like it was like, yo, we're clipping stuff here, man. Like, we were really in the shadows here. It's like, yo, it'll be fine. You guys want it dark. And it was just pushing myself to different limits that you start getting comfortable lighting certain ways, and you had to figure new ways of lighting and lean on my team more than I ever had for certain things, right? Before I got on the show, before we started the show, I met with other cinematographers, like Scott McKellen and Peter Hatterfield and Bobby Shore and Andre Pignard, people that are just so amazing and so talented, and that let me shadow them before. So I asked them for advice. Like, I'm not telling you have to tell me you have to do it this way, but just like what pitfalls to watch out for that we can help save the day. And it was like, stay on top of pre-lighting. Stay on top of like leading your crew. This looks all right to you. It's a couple of tweaks. Get your crew to start going to the next room to start lighting that as early as possible, and stay on top of that, and that'll help you get ahead when you're falling behind. So there were a lot of positive experiences. I was able to bring on second ACs, women of color, men of color, people that never been on TV shows like me or new like me, looking for more experience. And then I had a good group of veteran crew that were nice to like help pick up, like, all right, because they're going to work hard, right? They're going to run around, work hard, but it's like, all right, don't just run, do things right and wrap the cords this way. And the batteries always got to be charged this way. And you can see them get better over the course of the show. And that was a lot of fun. And then at the end of it, I got gift cards for everybody as part of my crew. Because unfortunately I couldn't take everybody out to drink. So I made sure, like, whether you want to get some food, you want to get a drink, this is on me. Because unfortunately I had to leave right after the show. But yeah, it was just like seeing people appreciate that was really cool. And it was just overall a really good experience. It was very tiring though. It was very tiring, very stressful, but like I really, really enjoyed it.